Good morning, Vietnam! In today's episode, I will be giving my review, reaction, and recap of Good Morning Vietnam. Do something, man! People are questioning you! Shut up! Shut up! Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb, just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the dub cast! Good Morning Vietnam was released on December 23rd, 1987. The genre on this film was a war comedy film. The runtime was 2 hours and 1 minute. The budget was $13 million. It was directed by Barry Levinson, who I have not seen any of his films previous to this one. And the only two stars in this movie were Robin Williams and Forest Whitaker. So, as always, I'll get into my non-spoiler review, giving a brief plot synopsis without spoilers. And then, obviously. And then my overarching review of the movie. And then after that, go into the spoilers and my thoughts and reactions throughout the film. So what this movie is about is our main character is Adrian Cronauer. He is sent to Vietnam to be part of the radio team there. He's part of the Air Force, I believe. So he's sent there to be part of the air radio team. So basically, the radio team only has an hour a day, it seems like their shifts are, to go on and give their piece or play music or do whatever they want to entertain the soldiers. But the radio team is pretty strict. His superiors right away are pretty strict with him, let him know that not everything's going to fly here. Obviously, it's the army, so they want to be very precautious in what they're putting out there. They want to control the agenda. So that's a main part of the story. Essentially, throughout the film, he befriends this kid. He teaches an English class because he wants to meet this girl and date her. So he keeps going back into this English class and teaching it. And this kid ends up being her sister. So through the film, we get to see that relationship develop as well. So his radio station is a smash hit. Everyone loves his radio station. The soldiers play it and play it and play it, and everything he does is funny. He does a lot of funny impressions. He plays good music that they're not usually able to listen to. So they just really fall in love with everything he has to say about everything and all the impressions he do, while his superiors don't really love it. But the soldiers do, so he becomes very popular very fast. I don't even know if I mentioned that this was in Vietnam. I think I did, but Vietnam War. So right around that time is when this movie takes place. So one afternoon, he's getting an afternoon drink at the local saloon in Vietnam. There's only a couple bars they're allowed to go to, and there's a bomb right in front of him. Basically, he gets pulled out by his friend because his friend said to go see the girl, the little kid. So he leaves, and it's bombed right as he's walking out. So he tries to tell this story on air because right after this bomb, he has to go to the radio station and do his hour or whatever. And right then and there, after they tell him he can't do it, he quits the radio station and doesn't want to do it anymore. So will he come back? That's my spoiler hook for this. I don't know. That's where I'll leave it. If you want to go watch it and come back, I'm sure you guys have already seen it anyways. But anyways, so that's where I'll leave the non-spoilers. So let's go into the overarching review. So my thoughts on this, I thought it was a decent war movie. I will say I have seen a lot of war movies lately, especially Vietnam movies. So this might have impacted my score and made me just a little bit tired of the genre. I thought some of the parts in the middle and the back of the half of the film were pretty slow, just weren't really captivating me personally. I thought the twist/ending to the film was pretty predictable. I pretty much called it right when it happened, and I'll get into that with the spoilers and all my thoughts on the movie going through each scene. But I did like the concept of the film, of him trying to bring light to the war, being this kind of light heart to it and trying to make everything more happy and reveal sides of the war that people weren't necessarily prone to, especially the soldiers who were out there every day. They couldn't hear everything, so him trying to be the voice of reason and the voice of like excitement and happiness and bringing an hour of happiness to the soldiers' day. I did like this angle of him versus the superiors, and it kind of being rejected by them versus him trying to really spread this positive message. So I did like the concept of this film. Personally, I wouldn't be dying to watch it again, but I'm happy to say that I did watch this movie. Especially Robin Williams was awesome in this. I think going back and watching Robin Williams movie, you got to hit this one. This is a good Robin Williams performance. He seems he does have a lot of wide range of characters for the time. A lot of the references are dated due to this coming out in 1987. I didn't really understand a lot of them, but he can really just snap and switch to a different character or a different tone of voice or a different impression really fast, and obviously very well. So good Robin Williams movie for sure. I think one of the things that sticks out to me a lot is the storyline with the girl was a bit odd, just because he saw her on the street twice. He's going to go chase after her and change his life and try and do everything for her. I just thought that was a little odd, and really I thought the whole storyline with him and the girl lacked development. I did like how they ended that story, but I really didn't think that was a good part of the movie. I thought that part was kind of one of the worst parts, was the love interest. But we'll go to the ending. I did perk up on the ending a little bit. I thought it was Matt at first, but I understand it now. I think to me though, the movie got worse as it went along. I think the beginning of the movie was the strongest part, and then it slowly deteriorated as we went along. The ending kind of plateaued. I thought it was decent, but I don't know. I thought the beginning was the strongest part, like especially the first hour. I thought was really strong and captivating, and after that, it kind of soured for me. So I thought they could have also delved into the war theme a little more. They did have some awesome scenes, 3 scenes showing like the brutality of war, and I really appreciated those, but I wish they kind of went into that more, but I understand them leaving it brief. So my score on this is going to be a 6.7. Maybe a little low. Maybe I would raise it a little bit, but I don't know. I just, comparing it to other movies I've rated, which is now something I'm cursed with, and having to think and compare all the movies I've rated against each other. As I pull up the graphic for you guys, I don't know. This one just was fine. I liked it. It's a 6. It's good. I'd maybe watch it again, but I'm not dying to watch it again. Didn't feel like it was quite 7 territory. And as we can see with analytics on the screen, we are at 12 movies for the Dubcast reviewed, chugging along. So this is number 10, unfortunately, in the top 10, but there's only 12, so what can you say? It falls below Boogie Nights and right above All the President's Men, which is a fitting spot considering he mentions Nixon a lot in this movie. So one of the only 2 movies given a 6 so far, joining Boogie Nights. Obviously both high 6s though, so this graphic may be a little off-putting because it looks like they may not be like the high 6s, but they're right up there with the 7s. They're high 6s, so. And moving forward, we may have to switch up the graphic, find out something to change here, because I'm definitely not going to be able to fit all these movies in once I start reviewing a lot of them, which I probably promise I'm going to do, but haven't really fulfilled. But I will be reviewing a lot of shit. So might have to switch up these graphics and figure out how to analyze this and show you guys whatever. I mean, I'm sure I'll have the stats and everything. So yeah, so leave it at a 6.7. What would you guys rate this movie if you've seen it? If not, go back and watch it before I spoil the whole thing for you. And yeah, so 6.7. So let's get the graphic out and dive into our spoilers. So essentially, obviously, he comes back to the radio station and plays it cool. He doesn't want to screw up again and get his superiors mad at him again for something that it's like saying something he shouldn't, or playing music he shouldn't, or whatever. So he just comes back and does his old thing. And his bosses still aren't happy with him. They want him out. They've always wanted him out. So when he wants to go interview soldiers in the field, they send him down a road that isn't safe, hoping that he dies, essentially because they knew that the road wasn't safe and they still sent him down it. So we come to find out that the kid he befriended was a terrorist. This is made blatantly clear when he finds them in the forest around all these terrorists, but nothing happens to the kid, and he's able to help them get out once they crash their van over a couple mines when they're going down that road. So once the superiors learn about this, he's taken off air permanently. They pretty much have to do this considering he was associating with a well-known terrorist area. So at the end of the movie, he then plays softball with everyone in his English class. He'd been teaching them for, I'd say, a couple months. It's hard to tell how the timeline was really moving, but at least a couple weeks. They always wanted to play softball with him. That was their thing they wanted to do with him. So he teaches them how to play with these melons and like a broomstick or whatever. It's a nice scene. He gets to say goodbye to everyone. He then flies out, and the movie is his recording of his last show, which he reveals some things and finally makes fun of Nixon on air and does whatever he wants. So good ending for him. He gets his message out. I don't know. I thought it was a little lackluster though. So that'll do it for the spoilers. Now let's dive into my thoughts and reactions throughout the film. So something I didn't mention before, the opening of this movie, I thought it was boring, and obviously the first guy was terrible. The radio guy that they had on, I just thought he was really, really boring, and I just overall didn't like the scene of the boring introduction to the movie, but I understand where it's coming from, kind of trying to set the pace, but I just didn't appreciate it that much. I thought there was maybe a better way to pull us in. But regardless, I was still going to stick around anyway, so I guess it didn't matter that much. Right away, I called that Dickerson was going to be a dickhead, and the main antagonist of this movie, you can just tell right away he has a disdain for Cronauer for some reason. I don't know, maybe just didn't like the way he was walking or the way he was talking. Obviously, Cronauer is this like sarcastic guy and just always trying to be funny and always trying to make people laugh. So I could tell right away this was going to be the main source of conflict, and we see later on that it is. His other superiors don't really like him that much as well, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So also I wanted to make note of Dickerson saying you'd rather be burned as a child than like screw with me. I thought that was cool. His little rants are kind of nice with him just grilling Cronauer, even though like he can't really follow through on most of them. But I did want to make note of that. That was a good burn, so good for you. Moving on, so Cronauer is sleeping and he has to wake up at 5:30. Forgot to mention Forrest Whitaker is awesome in this movie as well. He's kind of his buddy who runs along with him and makes sure he's doing everything right and adhering to codes and being up on time and everything. So he wakes him up, and then Cronauer instantly just has a line ready for him. We've all got those friends who you have to wake them up, and then they just instantly, well, some people like me just start like punching you and getting mad, but Cronauer just wakes up and has an instant like comedic line, so he's ready no matter what, even when he's sleeping. Also, it sucks getting up at 5:30, but that isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. I know a lot of people who do that anyway. So, Cronauer, you're in the Army, bro, or in the Air Force, 5:30, come on, bro. So, we got our first Good Morning Vietnam, which I want to say, I thought that there was going to be like 15 of these in this movie, but there's really only like 3 to 5. 3 from Cronauer and then like 2 from other people. And you hear on this, like, when you think about this movie, you probably think that they were like, Good Morning Vietnam, like 50 times, because that's all you hear. And like, I don't know, it seems like a classic reference, but I can't remember the last time someone said this to me. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, it's a popular line, but it's really not used that much in this movie. So, but we do get one right away on his first show. Again, wanted to note the crazy range by Robin Williams on his first show, just changing voices instantly on a snap of a whatever, flip of a dime, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm fucking up here, I'm losing it. But just crazy range by him. Wanted to give him another credit here for just being able to switch so fast. Some of them were actually funny. Usually I don't laugh at movies, and there were a couple of his impressions and things that just made me laugh. It might also have been like his confrontations with people, but I did appreciate his comedic aspect to this film. There were some funny parts. So we get our first little scene of Vietnam here, where this is kind of like the setter of the tone to say like there are people in Vietnam that are just trying to live normal lives. I'm not sure I needed to see the 2 naked kids, but whatever. I guess that's the thing that we do in 1987 when we're making movies, or just to show the realism of it. I don't know if Vietnam people are naked in the streets or kids are. I don't know. I just didn't know if we needed that scene. But I do like these cuts to the Vietnamese actually living their life and just trying to do the best they can while there's Americans just like trying to fight a war. So this was one of that first scene of them doing that. So respect for that. Yeah, and then we get to the stupid part that I hate, is Robin Williams. His love interest, or Cronauer, I should say, his love interest, the girl, as she just happens to walk by circumstantially 2 times, and he says, any girl who wants me this bad, like, I need to go chase after her. And Whitaker's like, what are you talking about, bro? And like, Whitaker's like that friend that you're like, is like way too cautious and doesn't want to do anything adventurous. Probably my friends would say that to me, but, you know, let him live a little bit, but also I would question this heavily as she just walked by you twice and you're in a foreign country and you're fighting a war. I don't think you need to chase after this girl. There are other girls we see later in the bar who willingly will come up to you and, give you what you need. So I don't know about this one, but I guess respect for actually following through on his wishes and desires. So I don't know, but I thought this was a weird storyline just right off the jump. My boy Garlic, aka Forrest Whitaker, just can't ride a bike for shit. Don't know if people weren't riding bikes back in this time, but he almost gets like hit by a car riding a bike in Vietnam. I don't know if that's what that is, but yeah. So this is a funny scene. Once Cronauer chases the girl into the English class, he tells the instructor he has 2 months to live, and he's like, I have 2 months to live and I would like to teach, just totally deadpan serious. That's an awesome scene looking back on it. That doesn't really jump out to you when you think about the movie, but when you're doing this deep dive and look back and see this scene, it'll make you laugh. So I like that one. This is when we see our first developing scene between Cronauer and Tuan, who is the younger kid that I've been talking about that he becomes friends with. So it's a funny interaction where Tuan is kind of testing him to see if he would be a good guy, and Cronauer is kind of just going back and forth with him, and then he tells him he's the brother. So they end up going to the bar and hanging out, and there's GIs there, and they don't like the fact that he brought Tuan with him, just showing the realism of war and being in a foreign country. The American bar, they don't want actual Vietnamese people there, so they're pushing him around. This poor little kid, which maybe we'll talk about. Well, we did talk about. He's not a little kid, but at the time you're like, wow, they're just pushing around this like 13-year-old. That's fucked up. So yeah, Cronauer, again, he's got one-liners on lock. At some point, he's like 3 up, 3 down, end of an inning. I don't know what that was in reference to, but funny line there. Oh, I think it was when he beats the shit out of the people in the bar. That was funny. So he's like 3 up, 3 down, end of an inning. So good one there. So actually, one of my favorite parts of this movie is the English class. I wish they showed this a little more. The class was pretty funny to me. Him just teaching them how to actually talk like an English person, not like the literature of it and like the basics of it. Like you'd read through a textbook, like him giving them phrases to that say in like the middle of a street in New York if someone cuts you off, etc. Big ones like flipping the bird. They say that one a couple times. So that was one of the funnier aspects to me, and one of the parts I liked the best was him teaching the class. So he finally gets this first date with his girl, and the whole family pulls up. Nice little moment here of showing you cultural differences and what it's like in Vietnam, dating someone versus America. So moving back to the radio station, he's going to try and edit the Nixon press conference, and that's a big no-no. They don't want him touching that, and they want with their story out there. There's these 2 twins who kind of scribble everything out on the news for them, and yeah, they end up crossing out most things because they're not allowed to talk about basically a lot of things. So the twins are funny because they're just sitting there doing nothing, and they just cross things out, and they have these like demeanors that just show you like they don't want to talk to you. So this is when the bomb scene happens. The kid pulls him out to go see the girl, supposedly, even though the first date didn't go that good. So right away, my wheels were turning, and I was like, the kid definitely knew somehow that this was going to happen. I didn't think he was going to be a terrorist, but I thought maybe he had knowledge of the situation. And turns out I was right. This could be, again, a LeBron moment where you guys say you're just bullshitting, but I did think this. I wrote it down in my notes, so fuck you. So yeah, the censorship is just sad. They won't let him talk about the restaurant where a couple of his fellow comrades died. I think it was like 2 or 3 of them died in the bomb. A lot of them were injured because that's, once again, the American bar that got bombed. So this was a pretty sad scene where he has literal blood on his shirt. He's trying to tell the people about it, but we're not allowed to see that because it's the army and we have to be strict and not let stories get out. So really harping on that concept that I mentioned that I liked. So liked the scene as well. So he still goes ahead and does his job and says the news. And at this point, I had respect for him. He's still got to do his job. it sucks not being able to tell the truth, but I'll give him respect for doing his job and trying to get it done. But I wish he could tell everyone the truth, man. So we end up learning that the girl doesn't want him actually, and shocker, who could have guessed that? The girl that walked by you twice in the street doesn't want to date you, or also age difference. There's like a 30-year age difference between them, but we won't have to talk about that. Just an odd storyline that I didn't like at all, but I was not shocked at all when she said she didn't want him. So, wanted to point out another quote. This guy, his like direct superior, his name starts with an H. Didn't write it down. Hawk, I think. I don't know if it's H-A-U-K. I think it was H-A-U-K. So he has to fill in for Cronauer once he quits after the bomb, after he isn't allowed to say the bomb news, and he gives a line, "In my heart, I know I'm funny." And this is a key quote of someone who is not funny. If you say I'm funny, then you're not funny, bro. I have to tell you that right now. I've been around people who say that, and you're not that funny, bro. If you say you're funny, I will just say that right now. Anyone who's like, I'm funny, you're not. Sorry. So basically, he's going on his little depression ride around everything. All he wants to do is just teach English class. He doesn't want to go back to the radio. But I know deep down he loves this shit of just playing hard to get. This is one of the big scenes with the soldiers, and it's like 3 caravans around him, and they're like, hey, Whitaker's like, hey, this is, well, not Whitaker, Garlic is like, hey, this is Cronauer from the radio station. They're like, yeah, we love you, Adrian Cronauer. So he gives them little quips out there. This was top tier as well. One of my favorite scenes from the movie is him just making fun of people from different cities. He gets someone for being Irish, for being from New York, etc., from Cleveland. He mocks them all, and they all love it. Just ribbing with the guys. So this was an awesome scene as well. One thing I didn't like though is him playing with a condom like a 5-year-old, and these soldiers are all geeked. Like, have you guys not seen a condom before? He like blows a balloon out of it. Like, is this peak humor in 1987? I thought that was stupid. They're like, oh, come on. So another, well, actually back-to-back heater scenes, because next up is the Wonderful World compilation scene. And if you guys have seen this movie, this is definitely like one of the better war scenes I've seen. Even though I have war movie fatigue, this one was awesome. And not because of what happens in it, but the like dichotomy of war that they show you. So once again, I'll give my stance on war. Fuck war. Yeah, this is really just an awful scene. We see an execution take place. It's just dead bodies everywhere, while this Wonderful World is playing, usually an uplifting song about how humanity is awesome. It's not so awesome when it's executing people. And this war in Vietnam, obviously that was not great for America, has been taking place. So really like this scene as well. So yeah, this is when the superiors start to get involved. Once Cronauer comes back, they're like, fuck it, just send him to this unsafe area called Adlock, I think, on Adlock Road or Ad Hoc Road, and they know it's unsafe, but they still send him. Don't know if I saw this coming, like leading, I think that's like treason or something, like sending your own guy into an unsafe road or whatever. I don't know. These guys should be charged. Yeah, didn't love that for them, but they do it anyways, and they will face no repercussions for that. So, yeah, charge him for a war crime, bring him to the court-martial, whatever it's called. So, as Garlic and Cronauer make their way down this unsafe road, Garlic starts talking about his future, and instantly I'm like, this guy's gonna die. And soon enough, like 10 seconds later, they hit the road mine, instant crash, of course, obviously. So, yeah, the class, we don't really see what's going on. We see the insurgents or the Vietnam force coming around, like looking for where they crashed and where they landed. But the class back home is waiting for Cronauer to show up, and he doesn't, with no word. So the kid somehow finds out that he's been sent down this unsafe road, so he pulls up in an egg truck, which he steals. And yeah, they don't find him, or they let him through, probably because he's like part of their organization, but we don't know that at the time. But good for Tuan for going out there to save him. So the sergeant, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, Dickerson is just an asshole for no reason and hates him for no reason. I wish we had got really a behind the scenes look for maybe just a minute scene of why he hates him, and maybe I missed it, so you guys will let me know, I'm sure if I did. Why does he hate him? He's just like, I guess you're just an army asshole. That's just your stereotype, so you just have to hate everyone. I don't know. So we learned that he knew about the bombing, and I knew that. I knew he knew. So again, LeBron moment. Say I'm bullshitting, but I knew that shit was happening. So essentially, Cronauer has to be transferred, and so does Dickerson because he's just an asshole. And so the hierarchy of things is Cronauer, then Hawk, then Dickerson, then the guy above Dickerson. The guy above Dickerson's a boss. He's like, Cronauer's a beast, and we love him because he brings entertainment to the soldiers and makes them laugh. And yeah, like, who wouldn't love that? But then we have Hawk, who's like this, just the joke of the people. Like, he's the boss that you have that, like, he's not the boss. Like, no matter how superior he is, like, he'll never be, like, respected. And then Dickerson's just like the uptight asshole guy who's just mean for no reason. But both him and Dickerson are going to be transferred. So I want to point out a point of hypocrisy for Cronauer. Kind of speed run through this scene of him chasing the kid because that doesn't really lead anywhere. But he runs down Tuan and he's like, "We're here to help this country." Are you though? You want to say real news on the radio, and you're here to help this country? I mean, maybe you think you are, but come on, bro. You know the real news. You know that ain't happening. So yeah, cutting to the last scene of them playing softball. I want to give a special shout out to Wilk, the Vietnamese person in his class who learns English. He's funny. He has like 3 funny scenes. He's the GOAT. Honestly, like my second or third favorite character in this movie, Wilk is the man. Just want to give him a quick shout out as one of the lesser used characters, but his scenes were impactful and funny. So shout out to Wilk. And as we wrap the movie up, I'm glad he and the girl didn't end up together. I thought that'd be really stupid and just like very tropey for them to end up together. But considering the ending of him going back, I guess it would never have even made sense. So good on them not making them end together. That was good for them. I did not want them to end together, and I thought the whole thing, as I mentioned like a million times, is stupid. So yeah, I already said my thoughts on the ending. I thought it was pretty mid, but I do understand that there can be some impact taken from it, and I don't hate it. Just thought it was mid. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. So that'll wrap up Good Morning Vietnam, 1987. So what did you guys think of this movie? Am I too low on it? Am I too high on it? What would you rate it? Where did I go wrong? What am I wrong about? What am I right about? Let me know in the comments. As always, appreciate you guys on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon, if anyone even listens on Amazon. Tune into all these videos and reviews. So near future, I think this will come out sometime down the line later this week, which I'm recording. So I can't really mention the future for the immediate tense just because I don't know when things are lining up timing wise. But if this hasn't come out before the UFC preview, I will have a UFC 304 preview. And then after that, doing Succession. I know I've been taking a while. Hopefully you guys aren't waiting on me for Succession. I do have 2 episodes left as of the time of this recording for season 2, episodes 1 through 5 review. Still got some more movies coming up. I have one that I know I'll be reviewing, but I don't know what the name of it specifically. And then after that, still have a list of 80 movies to dive into. So we'll keep you fed here on the Dubcast channel. If you haven't checked it out, I was joined by my sister, Allie, to do a NBA offseason recap, grading each team's offseason. So that one I thought went really well and was a good back and forth. So if you haven't checked that one out, check it out. House of the Dragon, still going strong. 2 episodes left. Did a review for episode 6, did a review for episode 5, and we'll be doing one for 7 and 8. I think this will be coming out before those episodes drop. So as always, appreciate you. Be easy. Good morning, Vietnam.